Hi there. Hello. It is quite an honor for us to go live with you all today. We are going to open with Anita with a smudging. Thank you so much. Would you mind telling us what the purpose of smudging is?
To pray for the health and sicknesses of others, for everything, just for those who are good health, for those who are ill, to keep the evil out of the system.
To start off with some good energy for this conversation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My name is Melissa.
Hello.
I would love for all of you to introduce yourself, where you're from, and a little bit of your background. Anita, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Hello, my name is Anita Bauer. I'm from Wisconsin, and I am two spirits. I live
on a native reservation.
On a native reservation, sorry.
And go ahead, Sarah, you're next.
My name is Sarah Young, Bear Brown. This is my name sign. I'm with the Indigenous tribe, which is my last name, Bear Brown. I am from Milwaukee, here in Iowa, and it's good to be here tonight.
Thank you so much. Paula, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Paula. I just want to say thank you and hello in Niit, in my language. I'm from British Columbia, Canada, the northern part, born and raised here. And I live on and off both the reservation. But just, thank you for having me here tonight.
And this is Anita, by the way, since you guys expressed your Indigenous hello, ours is Pu'a, and that is our hello.
Thank you for expanding on your own native language. I think we're going to have a discussion on a very important topic that needs to be brought to the surface, which is MMIW, Missing Murdered Indigenous Women. And for myself, I've noticed over the last few years, started to see that there's not enough media around this topic. And I wanted to provide a platform for you guys to expand on MMIW. So maybe one of you guys don't mind explaining on what MMIW and how that got started.
This is Anita. I'm more than happy to start talking about that. MWIW is missing and murdered Indigenous women. And the individuals who are murdered, they are murdered and never found. Sometimes they are murdered and never found, meaning once they're murdered, we don't know who did it. We never find who actually murdered these women. We're never able to find the murderer. Also, missing children along with their mother, also murdered. I have friends of mine as well that have been murdered and their murders have not been found, like I mentioned just now. I feel that there is no recognition, which is why I have my face painted like this, the red hand over my mouth, and I'll tell a little bit more about that in a bit.
Do you want to add anything?
This is Paula. Here in Canada, we have the MMWIWG, missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, or girls, I'm sorry, and girls. We have a high number of women and girls who have gone missing and murdered, and sometimes never found who have murdered them. The mother, sisters, aunts, nieces, the women, Indigenous women, we notice they are missing quite a bit in Canada. And missing, meaning missing and missing, or missing and never found. Sometimes, just like Anita just mentioned, they're missing and murdered, and sometimes they're found or sometimes they're not. Their murderer is not found. Their body has disappeared. So we don't know where their body is. So that here in Canada, we have the murdered missing women, Indigenous women and girls.
Yeah, and with the MMIWG, male, boys, that goes for males and boys as well. And, we want to add them in there. But just the coverage we need of all the Indigenous tribes around the globe. And this isn't something that just got set up. It's been set up a while ago. There's not a lot of awareness around this. And so until recently, up to a few years ago, where we're finally getting some attention around this topic and we're getting the word out, be it slow, we need it to speed up a little bit more. And so we're trying to create more awareness around this topic. It's a very important issue that we face that involves the government, trying to get bills passed with this issue. There's a girl by the name of Ave who passed, and she was murdered. They killed her. She was 8 months pregnant, just going on 9 months. She was murdered. They were able to save the baby, and they kept the baby. And the baby is still alive and living now, but we're still pressing through with this issue. And this does happen. This happens to us. There's one particular family, my cousin, who was murdered. There's tribes all over that are not given, equality. Right? There's no media coverage around this, and this is just happening over and over again. How does the boyfriend walk away as a free man as a murderer? There's no justice, right? And for women living at home, or there's been women who have been missing since 2015 from our reservation, right? There was a $75,000 reward put up for this, and still nothing, and no one has come forward. This is just happening all over the globe.
This is Melissa. Can you share maybe one example of numbers of people that are missing? And I'm sure that some people may think if there is so many people, but they think that there's just a few. And I actually read recently, it's a rather large number, an astronomical number statistically. Are you guys familiar, or could you share some numbers with us? Please, Paula, go ahead.
Paula, I do want to add a comment to that. So from 2016 in Canada, with the government opening up an investigation, with the rise of the MMIW, the numbers are rather large here in our area. There's about over 4,000 missing women and girls murdered as well. And now, just along with America, I mean, that just including all of it, it's a tough challenge because again, it's not shown, it's not publicized. There's a lot of neglect in that area just because we're not looked at as important. Perhaps Indigenous women, they're not worthy, they're not important. There's aunts, cousins, and nieces that are out there. So are they considered not worthy? I mean, they're missing, they're murdered. It's sad.
And that is a rather high number, my goodness. And go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, with Indigenous children. School, I think the number is more upwards of 7,000, where they found 7,000 of the murdered children, Indigenous children. And I think they're going to find more, and it's a really sad thing.
It's very sad. Before we talk about the media, I would like to touch on what it means. And I've seen it quite a bit, but that red handprint across the mouth, it's a symbol of MMIW. What does that mean? Why do we do that as a symbol?
This is Anita. I can speak to that. It looks like this, what I have on my face. And what it means is that there's no recognition for
I'm not
our,
sure if Anita's frozen or not. She's frozen on my end. Maybe one of you other ladies can show.
it means that we're silenced.
We're unable to share a voice. For example, the government has a tendency to wipe us under the rug, that we're insignificant and they don't tell the truth about the situation. And we use red for the purpose of, it's a spiritual group, so we can see it. Our spirits can see red. That's why we use red, the color red.
Yes, and then also it means that we're silenced.
And to add to that, what Sarah just mentioned in regards to the spirits being able to see through the red color. And also it's a symbol. Red is also the blood that is spilled. Also, you'll see some dresses that are hung up that are on a yellow ribbon. They're somewhere on a tree or on a highway or somewhere local. That red ribbon signifies with that dress is a person who was missing in that area. So you often will see that in the North America area. If you spot that, that's the purpose of that. That means that somewhere that a woman was targeted in that area, and they're symbolizing that an Indigenous woman was murdered there. So,
well, that's good to know. So now when I see that, I will understand what that means.
and if I can add about that ribbon also with the skirt, it means healing. It's us showing healing to keep our heritage and to cherish our cultures. And that's why we wear it. So if you see different Indigenous events, many of us will wear a skirt with ribbons on it.
Yeah, so with the media coverage on there, I know that recently we have, there's been the talk on Gabby Petito. I mean, just the outrageous amount of coverage that's been given to this topic. And I know that what happened to Gabby was very unfortunate, absolutely. And the privilege of a white woman being missing, right? All the coverage that was given to that is just crazy. Then you look at the Indigenous people and the lack of coverage, and you look at that and you go, wow, would the Indigenous people get the same amount of coverage if it were equal? Now, from your perspective, I'm curious on how you guys feel when you see all this coverage going on. Because I know that you've been trying to spread awareness for MMIW, and now all of a sudden you see all this coverage over this white woman. How does that sit with you guys?
This is Sarah. This is the white woman syndrome is what we call it. Every time, a white woman disappears, definitely you get so much media coverage when it's a person of color or a BIPOC individual. Like in 2015, when was it 2016, maybe, there was a woman by the name of Molly Tibbet, and she lived in Iowa, maybe 15 minutes from my home, not too far from here. And she disappeared, and sure enough, the media coverage was insane. And we felt like we didn't have any coverage on a woman that we had missing at the same time. We had a couple interviews with the family members. There was two media coverages, and that's it. But for this white woman, there was tons of coverage all over the TV. It's on national news. You see them everywhere. It's a hot topic. And again, recently with Gabby, breaking news, you look at that, you feel not again. And of course, I'm disappointed and I'm frustrated with the media. They completely ignore us, and they ignore our women and sisters who are missing. And they focus on the white people, blondes, people who have money. It's right there. That is white privilege. And it definitely is a turnoff with the media seeing that. And that still exists from 2016, a few years ago. We're seeing it today. We faced it then, and now in 2021, it's still the same issue. There's been no progress.
And that's not right. That's not right. Paula, you have any thoughts? Do you want to add to this?
Absolutely. I agree with what Sarah just mentioned. And I do notice that in Canada and also in Northern America, did you know that 12 times Indigenous women and girls disappear or are murdered 12 times more than any other race, non-Indigenous persons? And the fact that media neglects that. And we know that through social media and through media, we're able to get the word out. And the fact that they wanted to get the word out for Gabby, and it really hurts that it's our self-esteem. And I understand that's terrible that she was murdered, but for any other woman in Canada, Tony Fontaine, I want to say that it was a niece or an uncle who was a chef out in Canada, or I'm sorry, a hereditary chief in Canada, was very young, in middle Canada somewhere, disappeared, and young, very, very young teenager at the time. And that's one example that did not get any coverage, or it was not, the media coverage is nowhere near in comparison to what other, like Gabby. Of course you grieve for anyone who's murdered, but at the same time, it causes disgust. There's no equality there. And we think of our women, mothers and girls, we deserve that. Indigenous women, we absolutely deserve that. And for whatever reason that we are brushed aside, that we don't cherish our aunts, mothers, or nieces, we absolutely do. Their life is taken. We cherish them so much. They're worth the same media coverage that the next woman gets.
Yeah, I think back in the springtime, March or May, in South Dakota, I'd say there was 14 girls, all underage. They all went missing, but no national news, no coverage. All of them Indigenous, and they all lived in South Dakota. They were from Sioux Falls, Rapid City, and a lot of them went missing, and no one did anything about it. And how I came to find that information was through Facebook, not even from the news. I saw no coverage, no national news, and it just made me think, like, wow, it's really eye-opening in how we're treated.
Anita, you're back now. Yes, I want to give you the opportunity to add your thoughts.
Yeah, okay. And then also same with, I'm still angered. Most of the time I see the church and I just get angry. I see that they take the Indigenous children and they teach them they Americanize them. They take our spirit, they take our language. And it makes me feel like it's similar to what these two ladies are talking about as well. I have a good friend by the name of Ray Torit, who's gone missing since 1985. They found the body, but never found the murderer since 1985. There's Robert Lines, 27 years old. He was riding an ATV and disappeared in 2017. And then last year, a very young girl who went missing. Oh, I'd say for a few months. They found her, but never found her murderer. And this was last year. Now there's more. There's still more out there that are going missing and being murdered.
all the names that you guys have mentioned, you guys really are the people. They are real people, and they deserve the same kind of coverage that Gabby got. You know, it's really not fair. And I realize access to media is a privilege. And not everybody has that same type of media, that same type of coverage. And if the Indigenous community had more coverage and we were able to find more people to get on to this, to these crimes, these murders, we would be able to save more people. And the three of you with your communities have really been activists to raise awareness to the MMIW. So how can us as the community support you and support that? We would love to raise awareness. How would we be able to do that? Sure, Paula.
Paula, let me add to that. I mean, wow, just the time that we're in here in Canada, it's time to tell the truth, right? And reconciliation, TRC. And that's recognized by the government here in Canada. And the MMIWG, we're trying to push the education on how we can include more awareness from the local people to the Indigenous people, MMIWG, to the colleges out there on campuses, spreading awareness, because we have a lot of our women that walk around alone. And even just if their home is not too far from campus, they're abducted, you know, and that's where we need to spread awareness for safety for these women. We need to have webinars, create more articles, more books around these topics so that this information can be put out there. There's a highway called Highway of Tears, which is right near where I live. It's Highway of 16. The MMIWG, the number of occurrences that happens there is just outrageous. Me being an aunt myself, or my aunt was murdered. We don't know who did it. We never found that. That was never resolved. That was back in 97. I was 21 when I found out that my aunt was one that went missing and later found, but never found the murderer. But I mean, again, the system, the police department, I mean, we need to learn to work together with them and the government, because right now they're not doing enough. Right? They're not doing enough to really just rip open these cases and dig deeper to find who these people are that are abducting and murdering these family members, these loved ones, you know, who are grieving. These cases aren't closed. There's very few of them that, you know, where the murderers are found. But I mean, the number is so small compared to what's out there. Just all the suffering and all the emotional scars that are left behind.
Go ahead. This is Sarah. We're still in pain. We are still suffering. We still see it day to day. How can you support us? Is by being an ally. Support us through social media. Post things, share things. Why MMIW doesn't get enough recognition is because allies are not doing anything. We do need your help. We need the word to get out. We cannot do it without allies, honestly. And that would help us as well, along with media. Media can help us. We can reach out to the media and ask them to interview our people, what we have gone through. For example, you can go to an MMIW event, a protest. There are different cities that participate with different protests. You can look in your local area to see what events are happening. Open your mind and open your eyes and be involved with our people.
Yeah, you're right. It shouldn't be your issue, you Indigenous people. It should be an our issue, right? We should work together as allies. And I really hope that this platform, this chat, sorry, Sarah, you wanted to say something? Yeah, no, I'm just hoping that this platform, this conversation brings more awareness, right? I hope that not after this talk that it doesn't just stay here. I hope that we can continue this conversation, and I would love to do a follow-up with the three of you sometime down the road, if we could just figure out how to address some of these issues. Maybe let these people watch this chat and come up with their own questions, and then maybe provide those questions in another time that we can, again, come to this platform. Maybe marches, maybe do protests. And if we see an opportunity to raise awareness, let's do that. Let's get involved. We'd love to give you support wherever we can. Thank you. I just want to thank the three of you. And Anita, you're frozen again, darn it. But I just want to thank the three of you. I really feel your pain. I do. And you mentioned specific people that you knew in your life that this has happened to, which means how many more are going through the same thing? And that's not okay for us, right? We can't just turn the other cheek. We have to do our best to help support your community.
And we thank you so much for doing this, for spreading that awareness for the MMIW. That really does mean a lot to us, really.
Thank you.
And I would like to add it's really important to raise awareness and spread the word. And don't ever let's break down those barriers. Let's make sure that we're not sweeping things under the rug anymore. That's enough. It is time for us to open our eyes and make sure that we are supporting our Indigenous women, girls, children, and valuing life. Life is precious.
Yes, definitely. Gosh, I am so touched, and I am hand in hand with all three of you. Thank you.